Hello everyone, thank you for coming. I'm Mike Russell, Corporate Finance Director at Evolution, as Martin said. Today, with building a successful business, we're going to give a series of presentations designed to give you some insights from our experience to help you become more successful in developing and growing your business. The reason I'm first is that in corporate finance, we typically work with clients going through major change events. That could be a change of ownership, business sale, acquisition, or a rapid expansion which requires funding to deliver the growth. Over the 12 years or so I've been doing it in the North East, I've seen strategies that work for businesses, some that haven't, and given input to a large number of businesses to help them get things to move along. So hopefully that's going to leave me well placed to give you some insight into some of the aspects of a successful strategy that I see time and time again to help build value in your business, and also some of the common barriers to getting there. I'll then hand over to some of the other members of the Evolution team who'll talk around some of the specific areas that we can add value in terms of our service offering. So my presentation will cover 4 key areas. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to Evolution Corporate Finance, because I think corporate finance can mean different things to different people. So I'd like to tell you about how we work and how we like to approach our clients. I'd like to define what I see as value in business, and that's not only pounds and pence transactional value. It reflects the robustness of a business, the flexibility of a business, and then the profitability that comes from the other end. I'd like to look at some of the factors that help drive value through your business, and also some of the barriers that may stop you from getting there. And most important of all, the overriding message is to convince you that you need to have a goal and plan to get to that goal, and make sure everyone in your business is engaged to help you get there. Otherwise, you won't know whether you've been successful or not. So what is corporate finance about? As you'll see there, the transactions get the headline in the press, so buyouts, sales, all that sort of thing. And managing transactions is a big part of what we do. We've got a great deal of experience in doing that for our clients. We have quite a wide transactional service offering, ranges from strategic valuation, structuring advice, producing a documentation that supports a transaction, so that might be business plans, sales memoranda, financial forecast, managing the process of actually raising finance for your business, and providing support in any negotiations, discussions around the transactions that you're undertaking. Do transactions always add or maximise value? And I think the answer is no. Research in the US says there's broadly a rule of a third when it comes to transactions, and a third of transactions definitely add value to a business. A third of transactions don't, and the other third, people aren't really entirely sure. What that says is that if you are contemplating a transaction, you really need to be sure that it's right for you and your business. And I would say that good corporate finance is about focusing on your goals, what you want to do with the business, and suggesting potentially some routes to getting there, but that doesn't always need to be a deal. And our preference would be to work with our clients over the medium to longer term, really help them develop the strategy, and if a transaction comes from that, then great. But if not, as a firm, we're there to help you get to where you need to be. So moving on, how would I define value? First 2 bullet points there are really the what I would call the core value principles. Every business focuses on its products, its know-how or expertise, its service, and its customers. If you start a business, these are the areas you focus on, and most owner managers are targeting these areas to move the business along. However, these can only take you so far. The value in these areas is only exists as long as the person who holds the customer relationships and holds the know-how and expertise is around. And if that person moves away, then the value may suffer. So in terms of other areas of the business, these sort of 5 or 6 points there are other points that I would see as key to driving the value through the business. They're largely intangible apart from the investment in infrastructure, but they do require a cost to get them there. So people, intellectual property that might include your brand, how the market perceives you, and Kate will talk about that later. There's obviously the assets underlying the business, and looking at your market, your security of income, and your diversity of risk. However, in terms of value in your business, I would encourage you to think of it in terms of a lot of owner managers focus on being in the business, working in the business and driving the business from there. But if you step away and look at the real blood, sweat and tears that you put into that business and what you could get if you were working somewhere else for somebody else, The real value in your business is that additional slice, so what you can take out, and maximising that is what value is all about. So why would you focus on building value? And there are a number of points there that I've put there. So robustness of your business. If you have a number of products, a number of service lines, a number of markets that you operate in, you are insulated against movements, and you're more likely to offer a fuller service to your customers. So your customers are more likely to come back to you. You're better resourced. You can attract the best people. You can bring them in. That generates ideas in your business and makes sure, again, that you can react to market movements. And I think Tim later on will talk about how we can look at helping you incentivise the people in your business to do that. It enhances your market credibility. If things do go wrong in the market, or the market hits hard times, you will be the go-to business. If you have a strong brand and strong people who are well known in the marketplace, it can only help you move things along. You'll be more fundable. So again, if the market is on the up, you need to fund something to move on. You'll be able to access the funding to get you there. Similarly, if things are going a little bit less well, you'll be able to get funders to support your business through the downturns. And ultimately, you'll become more profitable. Essentially, whatever the market throws at you, you should be able to well-placed to deal with it and take advantage. But what does that mean for you? Well, I've said that we shouldn't be focusing on transactions here all the time, but there is one transaction that is really important to any owner-manager and should be in their mind, and that is your exit. Now, if you've built value in the business and it stands alone apart from you, that improves your exit options. You may be able to sell to the trade, but you also have a strong management team in there who may be able to take it on through a management buyout. And it also gives you a secure capital sum on exit. And one of the key things in terms of generating that capital sum is the flexibility of a business. So the what-if scenarios, if something goes wrong, what can we do about it? And the more diversified the risk in your business and the more value is in that business, as I would define it, you get that capital sum earlier, it's likely to be bigger, and you're not hooked onto contingent deals, and you can get out of the business quicker. So we've talked about what adds value to the business and defining value, but what are the barriers to building and realising value typically see in owner-managed businesses? The first one is the key one, and it's management versus ownership. If you sit in your business and you are the only key man in your business, the likelihood is that when you come to decide to want to leave, that will be difficult. And also, if, God forbid, anything goes wrong with you, your health, or you will be unavailable to work in the business, then your business is in trouble. So focus on looking at your people, handing down management functions and standing back and taking that strategic view. I would say funding is there for most strong business plans, but it's not as straightforward as it might have been 6 or 7 years ago. But you may have to look at other areas, perhaps mezzanine funding or equity to fund certain propositions, and look at a blend of funding that you can't necessarily just pull out off the shelf, and we're there to help clients in doing that sort of thing. Aggressive extraction of value. Now, as an owner-manager, if you extract all the value from that business, it means that you're likely to have to go to the market for more funding, and a business where things have been stripped pretty much to the bone is likely to be less attractive to a funder than a business where there's an equal sharing of risk and the owners leave some value in the business to drive it forward. The last 2 points are around goals and strategy, but as I said at the beginning, if you don't set a goal, have tools to measure that and communicate that to your staff and your management, then as a team you're not going to pull together. So looking at this, and in terms of your strategy, I would always advise a business to have a plan and to write that down. And these would be the elements of the strategy that I would include in the plan. So start top down. Look at where you want to be, what is the goal, address the markets that you may want to work in, and then build the infrastructure below that in terms of supply chain and people. That needs to be looked at financially in terms of a forecast, in terms of what would happen if things go wrong, what level of risk you're exposing the business. And then if you have good measurement processes, that needs to be fed through your management information to the top of the strategy, and you need to react to move on. Another important thing about developing your strategy is looking at timing. Different stages in a business's life cycle will require different focus, and you'll need to address different issues. So in the startup, the issues are about initial funding, being able to get out there and tell the market that you're there, get things out there. But then once you're there, you might get a big increase in demand, and that's difficult to absorb. So you need to understand in your plan, what are the financial impacts of getting a big order once you've been successful in marketing a business? What does that mean to you? And make sure you don't underfund, because one of the major reasons for startup businesses to fail is not because they're a great idea, is because they go out for funding and don't get enough to cover the requirement they need. As you move on for the growth phase, this is where your profitability starts to increase, but not necessarily your cash. You'll see increase in working capital requirements. You'll need to start thinking about different products, different services for your business, diversifying your markets, for instance, or perhaps looking into new geographical territories. And Jo will talk to you about export markets later on in her presentation. And this is where the monitoring and performance evaluation becomes key. You might find in this growth curve that until you reach the top, the business may not generate cash on its own merits. So the funding is always key through the growth phase, and making sure that you manage the business well enough to reap the rewards of what you've put in. And then you get to maturity. This would be typically the time when a business does start to kick off a lot of cash. You've invested in your working capital, you've invested in your infrastructure, the business is great. So this is the time when, as an owner-manager, you might want to start thinking about your exit. The vast majority of people who come to me and ask about exiting a business or selling try and time that in line with their planned retirement. But to me, that's a bit strange, because you don't know what the market's doing. You need to be able to look at your business and decide when is the best time to get out, when is this going to be most attractive to buyers, and when can I get the maximum value in my exit. And then you might drop off in a decline phase. Decline is not necessarily avoidable or bad. People who've worked in markets like PPI, they've made a lot of money through that market, and then you get into a position where the amount of claims are dying off, but there's still money to be made. So it's all about using the information you have on your business to look at things like efficiencies, maximising cash flow, deciding when you're going to divest, and deciding when you're going to refocus. This life cycle as well applies equally to products. So if you have a product or service, as one is becoming to the maturity phase, you use the cash that generates to start up a new one, and then your business as a company should continue to grow off the top of that curve, using the funds from the mature products to fund the new ideas. And so how can we help you there? Well, I've talked about corporate finance in terms of service, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But we can help with the taxation aspects of growing your business, so incentivising your staff, tax-efficient remuneration, looking at the corporation tax position of your company, reliefs like patent box R&D tax credits to fund your growth. Wealth management, looking both at your staff and your own personal wealth, making sure that that's invested and gives you what you need in the future. And international, as Martin alluded to at the beginning of this presentation, we are part of an international network, but we can help you access markets through connectivity in Europe and beyond across the world through HLB International.